Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review live. All right, y'all. Sorry for the delay today. I set this thing up to be 8 a.m. Central Time, and in fact, it is 8:37 Central Time. I overslept. Today is my girlfriend's birthday, and last night I tried to surprise her and go out and buy her a drink and stuff, and so that's where we are today. Like, I woke up late. I'm so sorry. I am not sick anymore. Everything is good. But we're doing it live today because I got to be at work in like 22 minutes, and y'all, I don't think I'm going to make it. So anyway, thank you for bearing with me over these last couple of weeks. I hope to get back onto a regular schedule next week for the weekly comic book review. All right, here we go. We always start the comic book review with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week. Y'all ready for this? It's New Gods issue number 2. That's right. New Gods issue number 2, written by Ram V. The amazing Ram V, right? With artwork by Evan Cagle and Jesse Lonergan. That's really what pushed this over the edge, was the Jesse Lonergan artwork. Amazing spreads in this book. Really cool stuff. So the new Ram V New Gods book. I do think that it would help you if you have read the Jack Kirby New God stuff, right? I do. However, it works so perfectly, like, as a continuation of that, as well as something on its own. It's a really interesting story, right? There's a new God that has been birthed into the universe. Orion has been tasked with killing this kid. He doesn't want to kill this kid, but he knows that he cannot go against the will of Highfather, so he decides to let Mr. Miracle know, and he says, Scott, that's Mr. Miracle. He says, Scott, you gotta stop me from doing this, right? Like, no one can escape me except for you, because Mr. Miracle's a big escape artist. He's like, no one can escape me but you. Find this kid, right? So most of this issue is dealing with Scott Free, Mr. Miracle, coming to terms with that, right? Like realizing that he has to go and save this kid because he's recently had a kid himself, and he's dealing with all that with Big Barda. And dude, this book is freaking awesome. I showed you the Jesse Lonergan stuff already. The Evan Cagle work is astounding. Let me find you a really solid page. That, I mean, honestly, that's just one of the best pages right there. Big Barda. This book has the explosive nature of Kirby's work. It is honoring what Kirby did with the New Gods, but at the same time, it's carving its own path into the rock of the legend of Kirby, if that makes sense, right? This is such a great book. I loved issue number 1. It was the pick of the week. Issue number 2 is the pick of the week, but it should be no surprise to anybody because it's written by Ram V and it's based in Jack Kirby's creation. Like, this is such a freaking fantastic book. New Gods, issue number 2, a great cover right there, but it's not the cover of the week. The cover of the week is one of the variants. How about this acetate variant for New Gods? Look at this. This is Orion. Handsome. Devilish. Devilish and not handsome. You see what's going on there with the acetate cover? Really cool stuff. I think they're planning on doing this acetate cover thing for at least a few issues. That's dope. Cover of the week goes to New Gods. All right. Let's continue on. Man, y'all, I just woke up like 40 minutes ago. So we're just doing our best today. Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum, issue number 1. This is a one-shot comic setting up the new status quo of Green Lantern, right? Jeremy Adams has been doing a very consistent and solid job on Green Lanterns. Really good stuff. And now we are here with Fractured Spectrum because we just wrapped up the whole Civil Core War, whatever the hell they wanted to call that. And this sets up like some interesting stuff. There's like a Ring of Sorrow now, and they're playing with that. The book was fun. The book was great. The art did not quite move me. It's like a manga influence artwork that works at times, but on actually on the smaller moments, right? It doesn't quite work for me. But as far as the art goes, I didn't like it, but I really do like the story. I like the setup for what's to come in the world of Green Lantern. I think that Jeremy Adams has been doing a really solid job, but that book was all right. Then we get Action Comics here with 1082. Now, Action Comics is no longer weekly, so I finally got my wish there. But I didn't like this issue of Action Comics, like, pretty much at all, right? It's written by John Ridley. It's going back to the Superman Superstars kind of thing. The artwork was not quite good for me. Inaki Miranda? I don't know. I didn't really like the art. Like, the artist tried to, like, do justice to Superman, but this is not the artist for this book. And I didn't really like the story. The story is really leaning heavily on some previous continuity stuff. Like maybe John Ridley, who I think is a really solid writer. I mean, this dude's an Academy Award winner, y'all. Let's be honest, right? I like John Ridley. I like his comic book work. I did not like this issue, right? It was basically Superman trying to come to terms with the fact that Major Disaster is a bad guy, and it just felt like naive, and it felt sophomoric, and I didn't like the art. I didn't like the story. I thought this was kind of a whack issue, y'all. All right, I just realized I got to be at work in like 16 minutes, so we're going to power through a little bit. Batman and Robin, Year 1, issue number 4. Did you think I was going to give this a bad review? This is an amazing comic. Seriously, Mark Waid is great. He's good. He's solid, especially when he's paired with an incredible artist like Chris Samney. Chris Samney is just oozing magnificence over every page of Batman and Robin Year 1. Super cool stuff. Really diving back deep into the formative relationship of Batman and Robin, but at the same time doing something new and fresh that feels old school. I love this book. If you're a fan of things like, I don't know, Batman Year 1, Long Halloween, Dark Victory, read this book. And I know that that's putting it up there with some really high quality books, and I'm doing that on purpose. So there you go. All right, Nightwing is here with issue number 122. It's all right. It's good. It's fine. Like, I want to give this book, like, a raving review because it's Dan Watters, but I just think it's okay. I don't think Dan Watters is the perfect fit for Nightwing. I don't think Dexter Soy is the perfect fit for Nightwing. And the book is okay. It's developing some interesting ideas. The police force in Bloodhaven, they have, like super weaponry now or something like that. It's playing with interesting themes. But to me, it's not quite capturing my attention like a Nightwing book should. And we're looking at a legacy set by people like, I don't know, like Scott McDaniel and Chuck Dixon. And honestly, yeah, Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. Like, and the book is okay, but it's just not quite there for me. Like, I feel like we're just on the cusp of getting over the hump, if that makes sense. So Nightwing was all right. All right. Then we got The Question, All Along the Watchtower, issue number 3. Another solid issue of The Question. Renee Montoya, who is now The Question, and I love that arc. I love that character. She is the Odo of the new Justice League Watchtower. And if you're a DS9 fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. She's the sheriff of this space station. And a lot of shit's been going wrong on this space station. She's trying to fix it. She's trying to solve a attempted murder. It's intriguing. It's interesting. It's compelling. It's all right. It's a pretty solid book. So the question, I like that one as well. Challengers of the Unknown, issue number 2, is doing the same thing, tied in to this book, The Question. I love that DC's actually kind of, it feels like DC's got their shit together. Disabled Sailor, we are live. We're so live, it should be very obvious that Robbie is live and only awake for like 40 minutes. All right. Challengers of the Unknown, issue number 2. I thought that issue number 1 was okay, especially with the way it tied into current DC continuity. But I felt like, man, my throat. I felt like it didn't do the service of introducing people to the concept of Challengers of the Unknown. I feel the same way about issue number 2. Like, it's a solid story. It's cool. It's the Challengers teaming up with the Justice League. Batman's teaming up with one of the members. He's wearing a purple suit. But I still feel like it's not quite anchored the way it should be. I feel like this book should have really taken an issue or two to set up who these new characters are before we go into, or not the new characters, well, new characters to most, before they go into team up territory. So I thought it was just okay. Ugh. I hate that y'all have been seeing me struggle so much over the last 2 weeks. I promise you I'm fine. All right. Trying to look at the issue number. All right, we got Ginny Sparks, issue number 6. I should have stopped reading this book. I should have just read the tea leaves, understood who I am and what I like about comics and what I do and don't like about Tom King, and stopped reading this book. But I continued reading this book for a reason. And the reason is this. And I've said this before, is that I am so annoyed with Tom King's approach to the character of Ginny Sparks. Like, I really, truly am. But as I'm reading the book, I kind of dig it. This was the first issue where I wasn't digging it. I wasn't digging it at all. There's a lot of there's some COVID type stuff in here, and that's fine. Talk about whatever you want to talk about, that's fine. Man, COVID was, I'm not trying to disparage anybody or change anybody's minds or nothing. COVID was that's just 5 years ago. Let's do something new. Let's do something fresh. And that's what Ginny Sparks and the Authority, under the helm, I should say, of Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch, that's what they did. You're not giving me that, Tom King. You're actually giving me a weaker, lesser version of Ginny Sparks in the midst of a Sandman story. That really famous Sandman story in the Doll's House graphic novel, I believe, where Dr. Destiny takes over a whole bar and wants to declare himself God. That's literally what this book is, right? It's but instead of Dr. Destiny, it's Captain Atom. Captain Atom kidnaps the bar, wants to prove that he's God. Ginny Sparks has got to be there to stop him. The influences, I respect, I understand. That's a great issue of Sandman. News about Neil Gaiman withstanding, right? Obviously. But, yeah, Ginny Sparks, not working for me. Let me tell you something, though. There's only one issue left, so I'm the sucker that's going to read the final issue. All right, let's jump over to Marvel. We got Ultimate Wolverine issue number 1. This was actually really good. I liked this. It was cool. So in the Ultimate Universe, set up by, of course, Jonathan Hickman, a.k.a. The Maker, so Wolverine is the Winter Soldier. Logan is the Winter Soldier. He is the secret agent, right, that is monopolized and... Oh, it's so early. He's the Russian agent that is monopolized and extravized. Let's just say extravized right now. I don't know the right word. Ultimate Wolverine was really good. I liked it a lot. It's written by Chris Condon with artwork by Alessandro Capicchio, who we know from Moon Knight fame. Really, really solid book. So in the in the Ultimate Universe, it's kind of like East of West by Marvel Comics, right? And the Russian segment of the New World Order, if you will, they come across Logan, and they make Logan their Winter Soldier. Really, really liked this. Thought this book was super solid, really good, and I loved it. You're probably, actually, Ugly Juice, I think you're right. I think it's in Preludes and Nocturnes. All right, then we got Rogue Savage Land, issue number 1. I know a lot of people are hyped for this book. My mouth is super dry. I know a lot of people are super hyped for this book. A lot of great covers. There's a Kari Andrews cover. That's cover A. There's a Russell Dodderman cover. There's like a J. Scott Campbell cover. A lot of sexy covers. You know what the book is not? The book is not sexy. That's what this book is supposed to be. It's written by Tim Seeley. Tim Seeley is no stranger to sexy comics, right? But Rogue Savage Land is not a sexy comic. It's like Marvel committed to the bit for the covers, but didn't commit to the bit to the interiors. The interior art, it gets the job done. It's all right, but it's not quite what I think people are expecting from the interiors of a book called Rogue Savage Land, which is meant to be a very sexy, cool book. This is an era of X-Men comics that a lot of us look back on fondly. Covers are great, but the story, not so great. It's telling the story of what happened to Rogue in the Savage Land between the Siege Perilous and meeting Magneto and hooking up with him. It's telling that story. It's telling it decently enough. But come on, y'all. This is a sexy comic that is not a sexy comic. Does that make sense? So there you go. All right. Then we got What If Galactus Transformed Moon Knight. Yeah, this is weak. This is a weak comic. This is really bad. It's not good. The art's really, really rough. Story's okay. This is a weekly series of what if, Galactus transformed Gambit into his Herald, and they're all fun and kitschy in their own kind of way, but this one just really annoyed me. I did not like this one. I thought it was kind of whack, to be honest with you. All right. Then we got Amazing Spider-Man 65 Point Deaths. Point Deaths. Oh, Marvel, really? We haven't learned our lesson. We have another point issue in a fucking amazing comic, like in an Amazing Spider-Man comic. Like, are you out of your mind? What? Why is this 65 point deaths? We got another point deaths issue. It's so stupid to have another Marvel point something issue. I hate this. I hate it so much. That being said, all I wanted to do was to be here today and complain about the Marvel Spider-Man point issue, right? But it's a really solid issue. It's written by Derek Landy with artwork by Kev Walker. And this is... So I thought the last issue of Amazing Spider-Man was pretty good. And this one's kind of following up on that. And it's Phil Coulson, who is the new Agent of Death, I guess, in the Marvel Universe. I don't know when that happened. I'm sure maybe I do, but maybe I don't. Anyway, Phil Coulson is now Death. And he's trying to... After the last issue where Spider-Man has to live through the deaths of everybody he loves, this issue is trying to highlight and spotlight the importance of death to the mythology of Spider-Man. And it does it in a pretty solid way, in a rather nuanced way, and an emotional way. So, as much as I want to bitch about this Amazing Spider-Man 65 point deaths, it was actually a pretty solid issue of Spider-Man. Then we got Storm issue number 4. Storm having dinner with Dr. Doom. That's what's going on. It's got ties to classic X-Men Chris Claremont continuity, and it works. It works so freaking well. The Storm book has taken me by surprise. I am absolutely loving it. The art is great. And let me tell you something. Rogue Savage Land could have been atmospheric, but it wasn't. Storm is atmospheric. Rogue Savage Land could have been sexy, but it wasn't. But Storm is sexy. This book is sexy, atmospheric, interesting, and it's got Doctor Doom in it, and they do a great job. Storm is blowing my mind right now with how good this book is. All right, let's jump over to Image. We got a new one here. Oh, let me take a second. How y'all doing? Let's take a look at the comments. GTK Comics, Eddie Runner, home of the brave comic news and review. Spirit Comics, name changes. Sorry for being late, y'all. Manic 23, Cedric's Corner. Flash by Night Comics. What's up, my man? Gnarly Swell. Michael, Easy Reader, Chocos, Joe, James, Taki. What's up, my man? How you doing? Yeah, it's early. It's an early day. I'm just going to say that. James Donahoe, what is up? Sponsor of the latest PCP movie night, saying, sitting here with a pen and paper ready to write down the pickup titles, and I'm producing the news for the midday broadcast. Well, hell yeah, you're doing the Lord's work. So there you go. Jeremy, Nick, what is up? Presto. What is the canon Batman and Robin first year? Is it Batman and Robin year one or the ongoing Last Halloween series? Last Halloween is not... Right now, to me, the canon first year of Robin and Batman together is Batman Dark Victory, which is the follow-up to Long Halloween. But this Batman and Robin year one is kind of playing around with that. The last Halloween, maybe not quite. All right, moving on. We've been through DC and Marvel. We're almost through. We did not get our Diamond shipment. I know everybody's has been talking about Diamond declaring bankruptcy, what that means for the comic book industry. We'll chat about that when I'm more awake. All right. From Image, we got Finders Keepers issue number 1. This is part of the Horizon experiment where they're taking marginalized communities and applying them to tropey kind of ideas, right? We've had a lot of cool books and some not so good books. This is a reverse Indiana Jones is what this book is. It gets a little bit verbose, a little talky at times, but honestly, I enjoyed this book. It's written by Vita Ayala, and I think the art is by Skylar Patridge. I think so. Yeah. Skylar Patridge, Jason Wordy. I actually like the book. It's a reverse Indiana Jones. So it's about a character who goes to museums and steals artifacts to take them back to the proper culture. A little bit on the nose, a little bit silly, a little bit like trying too hard, but at the same time, pretty solid. I liked the book. I thought it was decent. Then we got G.I. Joe issue number 3. G.I. Joe! It's fucking 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm screaming G.I. Joe in my apartment. Hope you like it. My neighbors downstairs are fucking obnoxious assholes. So anyway, G.I. Joe number 3 was great. It almost made the pick of the week. And I've said this before, the coloring by Jordi Belair, what she is doing in Birds of Prey, and I feel like Birds of Prey works, but it doesn't work on the paper that it's printed on, is excelling in G.I. Joe. Interesting color, great artwork, and a great story by Josh Williamson. We're continuing to dive into who this new Joe team is, the different personalities between them. We're taking time to deal with Cobra. Like, Josh Williamson is so good at balancing all of these facets and ideas for the story, and it makes it work. Revelations, big moments, soft moments, subtle moments, nuanced moments, dynamic moments. Really great stuff. G.I. Joe was awesome. Almost made the pick of the week. All right. Luana Vicio gives us Doll Parts, a Lovesick Tale, issue number 2. This is a very bold comic, right? Lovesick was a story about sex and gore and violence, and I guess it could be considered bold too. But this one's really bold because we're going into a younger character, right? And this is not a sexy book. Not at all. It's the opposite of that. But it's about a very young woman in high school who is starting to become fascinated with like Red Room, dark web type stuff and the dangers that presents. And it's not done in a pretentious might be the wrong word. It's not done in a pretentious way, and it's not done in a authoritative way where it's like talking down to the audience or something. It's done in a very like realistic way. And because the situation is so uncomfortable in this book, it like really highlights the skill of Vichio, not just as an artist, but her skill as a writer. The book is really solid. It's about a young girl trying to impress, wanting to fit in, and doing or getting into quite heinous things. And, you know, I'm a big horror fan, and I love big gory horror, and I love sexy horror. And this is one of those books that kind of explores that in a way that is uncomfortable, but at the same time necessary and relevant. Yeah, that's what I'll say. This book explores things that are uncomfortable in a necessary and relevant way. So there you go. All right, Gunslinger Spawn number 39 is here. On the road to hell on earth, spawns have all got their powers back. That has not happened in the main title, but it's happened in Gunslinger Spawn, and the book has gotten better because of it, to be honest with you. Gunslinger Spawn is now written solely by Todd McFarlane, Carlo Barberi on the artwork. I thought it was all right when they switched over the art and the writing team. I thought it was okay, but it has kind of solidified just a little bit. Spawn is Gunslinger Spawn. Some badass moments in this book. I enjoyed it. It's cool. He was, I almost said abducted. He was like arrested by the police and now he's got to fight out of it. Really, really solid stuff. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. All right, then we got Scorched 37. 37 in a row. Jessica is dying. She's being given her last rites in this book by the sister of the Violator, in a way. I'm loving Scorched right now. I think Scorched was really great under the helm of Sean Lewis, and then it kind of faltered a little bit. But now John Layman's here, and we're now catching up to all the spawns getting their powers back in this issue of Scorched, and it was cool, and it's a great cover. So there you go. All right. I should have been at work 5 minutes ago. All right. The Moon is Following Us, issue number 5. Another solid issue of The Moon is Following Us, taking us into directions that we did not anticipate, character turns that we did not anticipate. The Moon is Following Us, number 5, is the wrap-up of the first arc, it feels like, and most of the artwork is from Riley Rossmo. He tells the story. So if you're not following this book, what is The Moon is Following Us? It is about a couple who have a child who has fallen asleep and is now lost within the dream world, right? And so they are going into the dream world to save their daughter. Last issue, we thought they had saved her. Turns out, nope, not quite. Here we get more of a explanation and an exclamation on that. The artwork is great, really solid stuff, great dynamic energy by Riley Rossmo on the artwork. The character of the frog is amazing. The designs are amazing. Really cool stuff. All right. Smell of the week is coming, easy reader. We haven't got there yet. All right. Then we got Feral issue number 9. First of all, love the homage cover to Silent Night, Deadly Night. I think this book was supposed to be out a month ago, and so that's why they timed it with a Christmas horror movie. That being said, who cares? Tony Fleece, Trish Forstner, and Tone Rodriguez are doing such a fantastic job. It's a zombie story, but with cats. And in this issue, just like with any zombie story that's ongoing, there's got to be the issue or the story, right, where there's got to be the story where they go to a place they think is safe and is not safe, right? Here, they're going to a crazy cat lady's place where she's hoarding all these cats, some of them infected, basically zombie cats, and her herself might be a little bit infected. Really great issue, emotional, great art. Farrell is amazing as usual. All right, Dark Horse. Shadow of the Golden Crane, issue number 1. This is written by Chris Robertson with artwork by Michael Avon Oeming. The art's great, story's solid, it's good. It's a Hellboy tale that is set back in the 60s that has kind of like a, I don't know, like a Hong Kong Kung Fu kind of approach to it. It's not my favorite story I've read or book I've read within the Hellboy universe, but I like the art. I love the coloring. Is that Dave Stewart? Who is that? Chris O'Halloran. Oh, that's pretty dope. The colorist of Ice Cream Man, but that one's pretty cool. If you're a hardcore Hellboy fan, check that one out. Then we got Behemoth issue number 1 from Dark Horse. This was a pretty solid comic. It's written by Grant Sputori. I guess that's how you say that name. I am not familiar with any of these creators, but it's a really solid book about a kaiju type monster. It is a kaiju, a giant monster that comes up and causes all kinds of chaos on this town, but it's really about this woman who's just trying to make ends meet. She's trying to run a food truck and stuff like that. So it's all of that kind of mixed together, and it actually worked. I thought it was cool. I liked it. I liked the art. I liked the story. I liked the coloring. The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, issue number 15. Now, I know that when I talk about the book Kaya, for instance, I always say this is a book that's underappreciated, nobody's talking about. Same thing here. Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos is great. If you're a fan of monsters, there's no reason why you should not be reading this comic. This book is amazing. The art is good, the story is great, and here we get developed more of the backstory and the importance of the monster universe, basically, and Christopher Chaos. Y'all, read this book. It's great. Yeah, I am tardy, Robbie. Then we got Kanto, A Place Like Home, issue number 6. Major shout outs to David M. Booher, who is the writer of this book, who just lost his home in the LA fires and had to go through surgery right after that. He's keeping his head up, though. Seems like he's doing good. There is a GoFundMe for David Booher, though, so I would encourage anybody to check it out. And if we have a mod here in the chat, throw up a link. But this is the end of Kanto. This is the whole story wrapping up, but setting up something new. A great final issue, cementing the idea that this is a story about story and finding hope within hopelessness, and it excels because of that. It is within the darkest points of our lives where we realize how amazing this life is, right? Does that make sense? Kanto's awesome. Yeah, I heard from Bullseye Bob a couple weeks ago. It seems like he's doing okay. I hope he loves that issue of Kanto. All right. From Mahoy Comics, we have Howl, issue number 1. I read this last night. What is it? It's like a romance comic, right? From like back in the day, but with like a sci-fi twist. It did not work for me. The art's fine throughout. It's a decent enough book. It's got a great cover, but the book itself just doesn't work for me. It's like set in the 50s and 60s or something like that. It's about swinger culture. This dude, I don't know. I don't even remember. Like, it just didn't have much of an impression on me. So I didn't really like that one. All right. And finally, Skin Police, issue number 4. Why am I feeling so stuffed up? Y'all, I've been sick so much over the last couple months. All right. Skin Police, issue number 4. This is the final issue of the series for now, and it does set up a sequel, Skin Police 2, which has been announced. Man, what a whack-ass fucking ending. Like, I love this book. It's about, like, a world where, like, clones exist, but they're outlawed because they, like, pop off and go fucking crazy and shit like that. But, like, this book had, like, a European kind of feel to it within the art and within the story, and I was digging it. But here on the last issue, what a whack-ass ending. It ends on the most abrupt cliffhanger ever, and then goes, oh, Skin Police 2 is coming. Well, you can't have a part 2 unless you finish part 1. Y'all didn't finish part 1. This book, the ending sucked, in my opinion. However, it's the smell of the week. It smells like potential and desperation. Anyway, that's the smell of the week. That's your comic book review. We didn't get our diamond shipment yet because diamond's diamond. And there was a snowstorm like within the weekend, and they closed down the distribution office. So, to recap, let's do it. Skin Police did not work for me. I thought it was quite a whack ending. Hal was not impressive to me whatsoever. Kanto, the final issue for now, was great. Christopher Chaos was great. Behemoth was really solid. I liked it. Maybe check it out if you like kaiju action, stuff like that. Shadow of the Golden Crane for hardcore Hellboy fans only, I would say. Feral issue number 9. Great cover, great story, great book. The Moon is Following Us. Amazing as usual. Scorched was pretty solid. So was Gunslinger Spawn. I would say they're finally catching up to the whole, all the spawns getting their powers back, their shit back. But, like, that hasn't happened in the main Spawn book, so the continuity's a little off, but, you know, who cares? Doll Parts is a very brave comic and a very necessary comic. This book is not easy to read, but it's a really good book. I like that one. All right, G.I. Joe. Hold on. Let me get louder. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe is there. Anyway, G.I. Joe was awesome. This book rocks, yo. The art, the story, the setting up of everything, fantastic. Finders Keepers is pretty cool, like a reverse Indiana Jones. I'd like to see more of that. Then we got Storm impressing me as always. Amazing Spider-Man 65 point deaths. It's the best point issue of a Marvel comic ever. What if Galactus transformed Moon Knight? What if Galactus turned into a piece of shit? That would probably be more interesting. Rogue Savage Land needs to be a little bit more sexy. It doesn't lean into that. The covers do, but the story doesn't, and the art in the middle doesn't. Ultimate Wolverine was actually really solid. I like this book. What if the Winter Soldier was Wolverine? That's kind of what we're getting. Dynamic artwork, a really interesting story. I liked it. There's some emotional moments in that book too. Jenny Sparks sucks, but I'm continuing to read it. It's basically should I say this? Should I say this? Should I say this? Because these are two writers whose works I like, but like yeah, I'll go ahead and say it, right? This is Tom King trying to do his best Neil Gaiman and Warren Ellis impression without all the cringiness. So there you go. All right. I don't like it. Challengers of the Unknown. I don't really like that one either. I don't think it really builds up the idea and introduces it to a new audience. The Question, though, is a great murder-ish mystery in the DC universe on the Watchtower. I do like that one. Nightwing. I love Dan Waters, but this book, I just don't feel like it's quite the right fit. That's just how I'm feeling. Batman and Robin Year One is amazing, spectacular, and the artwork is fantastic. Action Comics did not work. It's the introduction of Ridley Scott. I'm glad it's monthly again, but it just ain't working for me. Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum starting the new arc of Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern book, which has been really solid, and this was another solid issue. But of course, we got the pick of the week, which is New Gods issue number 2, Rom V by way of Jack Kirby, and it also gets the cover of the week with this sweet ass acetate cover of ugly Orion and handsome Orion. And we've all been there. Like, you know, you meet somebody at the bar and at night they look like this, but then you wake up in the morning, they look like that. What are you supposed to do? I don't know. Plus, don't sleep on the back of these covers either. They're literally building a new god. So that's pretty dope. So anyway, that's what I thought. We're about to wrap up. I should have been at work 17 minutes ago. People are waiting for me to open the doors. Ugly says, did you drop the nice house by the lake or by the sea? Yes, I did. I dropped it. I just didn't like it. What's up, Dan? How you doing? What's up, Toby? What's up, GT? Your Thief review was awesome, Robbie. May I suggest King of New York and Reservoir Dogs? May I tell you I've already seen both of those movies, and I love both of those movies. But yeah, those would be great picks for a future movie night. Absolutely. Get Diamond a Happy Meal. I'll be at the shop after 11 a.m. Appreciate the shout out about Thief. Well, thank you, James, for sponsoring that video. You gave me that movie, so that was dope. Hey, what's up, Triple B? How you doing? I'm not reading Jamzilla. I'm not reading Miles Morales Spider-Man. Anyway, we're dipping out. I got to go to work. We got to open the comic shop. People are going to want their new comics, aren't they? Anyway, love it. It's beautiful how the sun is shining through your window with ambient light. Yeah, look at that. It's nice. I have a curtain for that I just haven't set up yet. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your patience over these last couple of weeks. We're in the midst of PCPX, the 10th anniversary of Pop Culture Philosophers. Rockin Robbie Live is coming back. The weekly pop culture wrap-up is coming back. But sickness and other things have hindered us right now. But we're going to get back to it, and we're doing it good. And let me just tell you this. If you're not down with PCPX, I got 2 words for you. What are those words? Suck it! We'll see you guys. Thanks for watching. Keep on reading. Love you. Station. Pop, pop, boom.